Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is where the whole thing starts to unravel. For years, they told you that Trump was just making this up. Lawfare, political weaponization, political prosecution, billionaire-funded legal warfare. They said, oh, come on, you people are conspiracy theorists. Well, now here we are. The Justice Department is reportedly looking into the funding network that connected Reid Hoffman's nonprofit and the E. Carroll litigation. You remember the crazy cat lady. And suddenly the same people who demanded endless investigations into Trump want everybody to stop asking questions. Isn't that amazing how that works? Investigate Trump, that's patriotic. Investigate the people funding the cases against Trump, that's dangerous. Ask who paid for it, well, you're an extremist. Ask whether political donors were quietly helping bankroll lawsuits. Oh no, now you're attacking democracy. And then Gavin Newsom comes along and does what Gavin Newsom always does. He said the quiet part out loud with perfect hair, terrible judgment, weird hands, and he wants a tax, 100% tax. He wants 100% tax on Californians who receive money from the Trump's anti-weaponization fund. The translation is, if you were targeted by the machine and Trump's DOJ says you deserve compensation, then Gavin Newsom wants California to take it all back, every penny, and probably give it to some of these illegal aliens that he can't get rid of because that's his voter base now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's not justice. That is protection money for the political class. And Scott Bessent summed it up in 5 words. There's no cure for stupid. But I had one thing. It's not just stupid, it's revealing, because when people panic, they expose what they're trying to protect. Here's the lawfare machine itself. So we've got the DOJ launching this criminal probe into New York Magazine writer E. Carroll. You can see her here without her cat. She looks very, very happy for someone to have made the claims that she did. Looks like she's wearing a jumpsuit, like a pilot suit there. I wish I could send her to Uranus. Here's some images of Trump, and this is Reid Hoffman, this billionaire that could very well be on the list, you know, the little boat list that Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene were going to expose, but I think they're fishing instead in Costa Rica. But E. Carroll, we all know what she did, what she said, and there were no facts. This was all conjecture. The president was never convicted of anything. This was a civil settlement, and now they're trying to scrape this back. But the Justice Department is making some odd connections between Reid Hoffman because he bankrolled her entire lawsuit. Everything was paid for by him, and I believe he's a big donor for Gavin as well.
But I think most people think it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of it as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the.
A fantasy. Well, she made him a little uncomfortable, Anderson Cooper, with that statement. So this lady could have a few issues, and I don't want to buy any of them. But you can see here, this is the U.S. Attorney's Office. Following is a statement by Andrew S. Boutros. In light of widespread reporting and media and public interest into the E. Carroll matter in New York, the Chicago U.S. Attorney's Office can confirm it has not opened and ever opened a criminal investigation into E. Carroll, and any claim into the contrary is categorically false. So they're saying no. They're saying that they've never opened a criminal investigation into her accusations. CBS News is doing a little cleanup of their own. The Justice Department, they're reporting on this, has launched a criminal investigation into a nonprofit run by billionaire Reid Hoffman that funded a portion of her civil litigation against President Trump. So Reid Hoffman couldn't go after Trump personally. He used E. Jean Carroll as kind of a, I don't know what you want to call it. He paid her. She gave some services. You fill in the blank.
Another thing that he and his lawyers have often spoken about is the lack of disclosure about a big Democratic donor funding part of this case. Was there a reason it wasn't disclosed, and did you view this as political in any way?
No, I just completely forgot that he even existed.
In your deposition?
Yes, in my deposition.
My team looked at it and thought that
She forgot who was paying for her criminal case. Just completely forgot.
it was that her voice should be heard, that because she was challenging someone who's so much more wealthy and powerful, it shouldn't be squashed, and that providing that voice for people who are otherwise would be ground down by the system or the powerful is, I think, a good thing. Obviously, especially in the case of women, and obviously, especially in the case of sexual and other torture and attack and so providing that support was something that I felt very happy to do. I felt very happy to do.
So he was just in it for, morality, just doing the right thing. There's a lot of accusations that he did the wrong thing down at the island.
I just completely forgot that he even existed.
Completely forgot. He's doing the right thing. She completely forgets. So if it's apparently Reid Hoffman's nonprofit that's being investigated, the Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation into the nonprofit run by billionaire Reid Hoffman, funded a portion of her litigation. I'm not sure nonprofits are supposed to be funding court cases against the President of the United States. Now, that's up to you to decide, but Reid Hoffman apparently is a really good friend of Gavin Newsom. And that's where Gavin Newsom comes into this whole charade. And I believe it is a political charade. Scott Bessent just ended this guy's entire argument. Scott Bessent was basically pretending to be the press secretary yesterday, talking to the press pool. And the question was brought up about this 100% tax on these anti-weaponization payouts, like Tina Peters in Colorado. She could get money compensated for being locked up for all of these frivolous lawsuits. And they don't want that to happen. But they'll gladly pay people like George Floyd's family enough money that the brother can buy a $50,000 gold necklace. That's the way this works, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way this game is played. And I want you to just hear what Scott Bessent said when he was asked about Gavin Newsom taxing this.
Thanks, sir. Governor Gavin Newsom has floated this idea of a 100% state tax on Californians who receive money from President Trump's anti-weaponization fund. Your response to the governor's call for 100%?
There's no cure for stupid. Okay. Thank you all.
No cure for stupid. You've got to love Scott Bessent. Complete, straight to the point, nuclear drop. And that was sort of the headline on Nick Sorter's X post. Scott Bessent just dropped a nuke on Gavin Newsom and then walked out. Now, Gavin Newsom's own campaign team responded. And they responded in only a stupid way like they can. And here's what they responded with. This is Newsom's press office. Dropped a nuke. Why is Nick advocating for violence against an elected official? Now, these are the same people that have called for, political violence to remove a fascist president like Donald Trump. But Nick Sorter uses the term dropped a nuke, meaning a comment, and Gavin Newsom's own campaign team takes that as political violence. I'm sure Gavin doesn't want to talk about all of the political violence that's occurring in his city across California, all of these riots outside of these detention centers. They don't want to talk about that. Well, it looks like the times are changing at CBS as well. CBS News Chief Barry Weiss fires a far-left 60 Minutes executive and anti-Trump correspondent. This is her here. And I think it's a good move by 60 Minutes. We've got a little more information here. Nick Bilton is one of the most entrepreneurial and ambitious journalists working today. I'm pleased that he is the next executive producer of 60 Minutes. So they have fired the radical leftist. They have brought in someone else to hopefully improve this program. Back when it used to be with Andy Rooney and those guys, Morley Schaefer, 60 Minutes was a great show to watch. It was kind of the end of the week show that wrapped everything up. And it got politicized. It got liberal. It got radical. And that's whenever a lot of people turned it off. Their viewership failed. Well, right now, things are going to improve. The Democrat Party is in a downward spiral. They are basically the Ayatollah of the United States. They have no plan. They have no real spokesperson. We don't know who's in charge. That's the way it's working right now for the Democrat Party. Gavin Newsom is running. I don't know what he's running for. Probably running scared. E. Jean Carroll doesn't remember anything. And it looks like Reid Hoffman bet on the wrong pony. He wanted to get President Trump arrested. There was no way he wanted him back in office because he didn't want any investigations into his nonprofit. He didn't want any investigation into how many times he might have traveled to the little island. Well, it failed. The Democrat Party failed. And if the president that we have right now would have not been reelected, we would know nothing about all of this lawfare that was occurring. If you want to know a little bit more about what is coming out in the wash, I want you to check out this video right here. Tulsi Gabbard is leaving on June 30th. Her husband has cancer, and she has just ripped the bandage off Executive Order 13848, election interference by a foreign country. I'm talking China, Iran, Venezuela, and more importantly, Ukraine. And the Biden laundry machine may have just been exposed. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.